Welcome back to Nigeria, the road to 2019. I'm Charles Enyinnaya. Now let's talk about the unspoken thought, a looming presence that's not on top of the news agenda anymore, is not apparently being urgently addressed, but is impossible to ignore. And that is the question of the whereabouts of Nnamdi Kalu, leader of the proscribed and some say secessionist group, the Indigenous People of Biafra, or IPOB. With me in the studio is the Nigerian MP who stood bail for Nnamdi Kalu and who's been accused severally of having close links with IPOB, Senator Enyinnaya Abaribe. Thank you very much indeed for staying with us. Now, you were one of 3 bail sureties that stood for Nnamdi Kalu, the controversial leader of that proscribed group IPOB, who has not been seen or heard of since, I think, September 2017, when the army invaded his home. And you have no clue where he is.
No, I don't.
And do you know anyone who might know where he is or what's happened to him?
Our contention is that since the army were the last people to see him, on the basis of what in law is called the doctrine of last seen, that they should be the people to give an idea about where he is. Because, like you said, the army stormed his place, and since that time he's been disappeared. Nobody knows.
What I find quite extraordinary is the fact that, I mean, I've never been to Nnamdi Kalu's house, but I've seen lots of pictures of his house and him, and there are always lots and lots of people. I mean, he was treated almost like some sort of a, you know, an elected official or something, with lots of people always around him. Yes. What I don't understand is, how is it possible for the army to invade his house and he's the only one who's sort of there, and then, you know, he disappears and nobody sees him being spirited away or anything like that? I mean,
well, I think that's a question we're going to have to ask the army.
Well, that's a question I'm also asking people who are connected to IPOB, because they could easily have spirited him away themselves.
Understand what the Minister of Defense said.
Right.
The Minister of Defense said that they saw him, they saw a vehicle carrying ammunition into his house, and they pursued that vehicle, and there was an explosion, and since then they don't know what happened. That was from the Minister of Defense. And so you could see that the stories don't, it doesn't gel at all. So I have no idea. And I was asked by the court to produce him, and we're in court at the moment, and we are vigorously challenging the narrative of the military.
Yeah, because I understand that you filed a motion seeking to be discharged as a surety for Mr. Kalu, but that request was refused by a judge, is that correct?
No, we didn't file a motion seeking to be discharged. We filed a motion to say to them, there are circumstances that led to his disappearance.
Right.
And there are people that are supposed to be on the side of government that led to his disappearance. And so that this is a novel area in law. If government is charging him, and the same government has also done things that have led to his disappearance, so who should take the blame?
Right, so what did the court say?
Well, the matter is still ongoing.
But I understand that I mean, is it correct to say that you opted to be given more time to produce Mr. Kalu?
No, we're still in court, so, you know, the court will give us time to file our different papers. Don't forget that we are 3.
Right.
And so each of the sureties had to come up with their own defense.
But have you, in your own capacity as someone who has some affiliation with him, given that you stood as a surety for him, have you made any progress at all in trying to figure out where he is as your own independent investigation, talking to the people who were around on that day, who possibly saw the events unfolding?
No, I haven't bothered. The reason why I haven't bothered also is very simple too. If government itself does acts that lead to his disappearance, coming around to ask me as private citizen to also undertake what government can do, which is investigation, then that is asking too much from me. And so we want to see how it's going to go in court.
Was there any sense at all on your part that supporting Nnamdi Kalu as you did might put you in the radar of the Nigerian government, and that by him calling for the breakaway of a part of Nigeria, that could be seen as treasonous and might create a problem for you as a senator sworn to preserve and protect the unity of Nigeria?
I do not see what he was looking for as treasonous. Understand what they asked for. They said, we want to have a referendum to determine the basis of our being part of this country, which they claim is a fundamental right of any human being. You're not going to be in a union by force. And so they never carried any arms, they never killed anybody, they never did anything except to carry their flags and demand a referendum. And so all I saw they were doing was a cry to the Nigerian federal government that the basis for our union, for all people in Nigeria, not just the people, the indigenous people, every part of Nigeria, that everybody was hurting in some way. And that is what has led, if you know today, to what the raging cry for restructuring everywhere. The reason why are people asking for restructuring? They know that the way we are going is going to lead us nowhere. There has to be a fundamental rearrangement in this country. And so I saw it merely as people expressing their rights within the country. Where we differ from the federal government is that people are going around this country clearly doing treasonous things, killing people, destroying villages, going all over the place, committing mayhem, and they're being treated with kid gloves. They're not even being designated. So the United Nations now designates those people, the herdsmen, as a terrorist group, does not designate IPOB as a terrorist group. And so the government prefers to wield a very, very big stick, and that makes every person from the Southeast feel that they are being treated as second-class citizens.
Just very briefly, because we're almost out of time, looking ahead to the 2019 elections, do you think the matter of the whereabouts of Nnamdi Kalu, the matter of the prescription of IPOB, should be one of the key issues in the upcoming election?
It will be an issue in the Southeast. There's absolutely no reason why it will not be an issue. Because people are going to ask questions. People are going to ask us as political leaders, what have you done? So it must be an issue.
Senator Enyinnaya Abaribe, thank you very much indeed.
My pleasure.
Well, that's it for this edition of Nigeria, The Road to 2019. Join us again for a fresh edition tomorrow. From me and the entire team here in Abuja, bye-bye, and thank you for watching.